Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate it. Okay. So what I've got, just to summarize, and so there was a question around reporting, to whom,
Self-reporting.
when, what.
Yeah.
There was also the specific request for NEM's letter from this and primary MD.
No, a letter to NIMS.
No, from now.
Oh, yeah, but also a
Your
letter to
primary
NIMS.
MD letter from NEMS from yesterday, and then
Correct.
trying to get some more clarification of what was written and explained from the primary doctor in the emergency department around that. Dr.
Correct.
Talking about
Right.
whether it's emergency or not. I also heard this question about an integration between the San Francisco sheriffs who were here and the San Francisco Police Department.
And the Department of Emergency Management and the Mayor's Office of Disability, because those are all the people Doctor, I turned over all the correct rocks to
Okay.
prove that it was set to fail.
And then what, in terms of what I was going to come to share with you is that the policy stuff, and what's happening with that is that the city attorney's office is reviewing that, looking at the law, so there's policy and law.
Can I just make one
Let me
quick
just finish one second,
Yes, please.
in the piece. And then, based on that work, then we will then do what we need to do to make sure everyone understands that, make sure that we're correct with the law around videotaping.
Boy, that really scares me.
And then,
And you want to know why?
and the
Let me
signage
tell you
correct
why,
also
because
as
with
well.
my adjustment disorder, when I got screwed by the city attorney and I went back and showed him that I'd been screwed with a signed confession and asked him by the law and what it meant by the law, I'm still waiting for an answer about the law.
I can't
Okay.
speak to that, but I can see why this distrust continues to come up for you as an issue. I see that. I do.
And mind you, this is the same city attorney. Thank God.
Okay. So,
So he's not only familiar, he already knows the song and dance and how to get around it and skirt.
right, because the sheriff's department also has no videotaping signs posted, and these signs, when they
Room
get
456.
posted, it'd be interesting to know the policy on who gets to create these signs and authorize them.
And why they're not cited the legal law on them.
Right. They should
I mean,
have, if you're
when you make a sign on the street, it has to have the
a
code.
citation of what it's, and your policy actually does.
Should have a citation.
The videotaping policy, I believe, is for.
But it's an incorrect citation.
No, I think it's okay. There's several factors here. There's HIPAA, there's ADA, and there's 632. So, this is actually not bad. It says all,
But that's not true. That does not exist in those parts. Photo taping and video copying, all that does not exist in part A, B, and C. All part A, B, and C is about third-party billing and what rights they have to get your medical records. The personal information history, or PHI, was created for HIPAA was created for the patient to have control over his medical records and who got the access and who he allowed to get access to it. Not,
okay. So,
that's
and also
another-
this, it says all individuals in the recorded area, including staff, must give their verbal or written consent prior to being recorded.
Not if they're told not to.
Well, I mean, what about,
This is the stuff with the policy.
right, what about visitors and,
Yeah,
you
totally
know?
right, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, and that's the policy that's being reviewed now. And,
okay.
And we're not there yet, so.
No, of course not. That's totally understandable.
Okay, so do you want to
So
run?
can you get I'll do that, but can you get a copy of the MOU so that when they're reviewing these policies, they can review what the MOU says in regard to these policies and how they're going to interface with the sheriff and everybody else?
And
Because if your
ADA,
policy says one thing and the MOU between the Department of Public Health and the sheriff and everybody else says something else, well, okay.
So part of the policy with the videotaping here is going to have to be squared with all that's going on in campus here with the staff as well as our security.
When you say squared, I want to understand
It
what you
all
mean.
has to be aligned. There has to be agreement amongst
Oh, when you say agreement, I don't understand. Agreement that we're correct and that they must do this, or agreement that they can get around it? What do you mean by agreement?
I'm just gonna let you
There
know.
has to be alignment. So once the policy is, the final review has been complete, and we talked about that.
And how do we verify that once this is done, the policy is correct and it's not another illegal policy?
Great question. That's a great question, but then I don't know the answer to that.
Well, I'm going to ask it for the video.
I hear
I've been
you.
risk managed and handled so many times,
Yep.
I can tell you the next step you're going to do before you do it.
Okay. So So what I understand happening now that the city attorney's group is working. I think they're
That
also
really
working
makes me
with
feel
the sheriff's attorneys to come up with where are we within the law and how do we make our policies align appropriate with the law. When we hear that from them, then we will
But in the meantime, we're going to ask them why
Hold
they
on,
did that
let
the first
him-
time.
Right.
Stop.
So that's what I understand about the process, and then what we'll have is our policies make sure they're in alignment with that interpretation, and then because there continues to be so much confusion and inconsistency, you're hearing different things from different people at different times. That's our work to make sure that we're able then to like
On the same page.
treat it consistently for every person.
Okay.
That's
Now-
what I meant about squaring and getting it right.
Okay, now I understand.
Okay.
Now, I think I should read some things
Yes.
that I wrote really quick, just so that it's on the record. Okay, part of my desires, part of my wants, part of, I was asked, what is it that you'd like to see? An immediate rescission of the policy, all those signs ripped off, not only here, but every place that has to do with DPH and security. I want that function to be changed. The end of security. 20 years ago, you had security. It was the same thing. It was exactly the same. The sheriff's office. I got a letter from the sheriff's head legal counsel when I asked for my medical records here. Do you know what he signed the letter? How he signed the letter? Nurse Ratchet. I have the copy of the letter. You think I'm kidding? I'm not. All right. So, I've been through this song and
Sorry to
dance
hear that.
so many times. You have no idea. So not only do I want the policy rescinded immediately, ripped off the walls, I want you to institute the opposite policy. Now let me explain what I mean by that. So I'm crystal clear. We here at Zuckerberg provide world quality care, patient care. You can bring your camera. You can bring 10 cameras as long as you do it correctly and don't videotape anybody else. Because you know what? We're so proud of our service. It's our testimony. Come tape us. Put it on everything. Facebook. Put it everywhere. And let people beat a door to our quality care. We have nothing to hide. We're here for you. We want you to know that we're here for you. Well, I want the exact policy instituted today.
Okay.
Okay. Moving on. I want all the Department of Public Health, Barbara Garcia, the sheriff, the San Francisco Police Department, the Department of Emergency Management, the court, people from the court system, here and notified of the policy changes. I want the court to be aware that, this last case that they did with the defective accusation, I still want an answer. I still can't get an answer from the court. They're like you guys. Here's our paperwork. Even though I try to follow up months later, I don't have an appointment.
Okay,
I don't
so
know.
history on that piece briefly is Grant has reached out to all the people he just listed and requested meetings so that he could videotape and that he could address his specific questions.
And they're incorrect paperwork.
And he's been all but ignored. I mean,
I've been ignored. Not all. I've been
No, I
totally.
know. I said that.
I've been totally all ignored. Now,
So this has been going on for months and sometimes years
Yeah.
for specific,
well, Barbara Garcia.
right.
Shall I? Oh
Yeah.
my God! I've even got videos of where I was told I'd never see her. So I don't ever expect to see her. And as soon as I do see her, I'm going to ask her.
So what is the policy around the sheriff, or the person in charge, the head of security here? It's it's an oxymoron. Are you
Well,
the security
does
or are
Mr.
you-
Basil work for the hospital, DPH, both? What is his
Works for the
position?
DPH.
So who's the head of security here? Or are those two separate functions?
Separate functions.
So who is the head of security?
Basel is the head of security for the Department of Public Health. And then we have an MOU, which is that contract that the Sheriff's Department provides the security. And then Basel is our interface
So-
with the Sheriff's
I'm still
Office.
confused. That's even more confusing for me.
It absolutely is for me as well.
Oh, sorry, yeah. So the...
Who is in charge of, if Basil's in charge of DPH's security, who is the one individual that is in charge? Is it the sheriff?
Right, Basel is our interface with our security service, and we have a contract with the Sheriff's Department.
And your
For
security service only provides security, not law enforcement, correct?
That's an interesting question.
Well, I have the MOU if
Yeah.
you'd like to read it.
Yeah, I won't take the time to read it now. They are law enforcement officers. I've come
Oh,
to
wait a minute, wait,
understand.
let me see if I. Understand this correctly.
That's what I've been.
So they're dressed as law enforcement officers.
Yeah.
Are they providing law enforcement service? No, this is a very specific
know it
question.
is.
Yeah, but so I know
Because
you're.
I told that to them.
Okay.
I understand, and I know you're asking the question to get it recorded, and that'll be the,
From risk management.
yeah, that'll be to have.
Sorry.
Daisy will answer that directly for you.
Oh, will he? He's not even here.
Understood.
So
Yeah,
based
but
on
we're
the
getting-
video.
Well, he
you
hasn't
can
even answered,
see
he hasn't even given me a
based-
meeting. Why should I believe that he's
Right.
gonna answer
Yeah.
it?
So if you could maybe facilitate a meeting with Basil and whoever's
And
in
the
charge.
sheriff.
And the sheriff.
Can't
who-
promise that, but I'll do my best to do that, and also get the information that we can.
And please realize I have full expectation of being let down.
I understand that.
Just,
And when it happens, I will notify you of it.
yeah.
And I will question your integrity.
Although, I just
Okay.
I'm checking in a bit.
I
I've got a
understand.
page about the letter, I think. Let me- Okay. I haven't heard, I haven't found it yet.
Okay, so,
The letter.
talking about the
Letter
sheriff and the
they brought
MOU, this says that they were trained. Can you find out who trained them and what that means?
Okay.
Okay,
And based on the video, I mean, you can certainly see the concern. 3 officers or sheriffs stood there while an employee assaulted him and actually,
okay, another thing I'd like to have said
So-
for the video is, in the policy change, I want the security part to be written out and to employ only law enforcement agents, officers who do law enforcement. Because I've gone up to them and I said, are you going to enforce my medical rights, my ADA rights? I have the videos, over 6 years of it, and being played consistent. As a matter of fact, last time we came, what was that guy's name who I went back there and he said, you've got to turn off your camera and you have to leave. And I'm like, okay, I'm outside, can you come out, send somebody to help me?
Yep.
Turns around and walks away.
Okay, so the sheriff training other things and.
So,
and I'll do
I
this
need to
and come
change,
up
no,
with
no,
the
no,
information I can.
let me finish this.
Yep.
No security, only LEOs whose priorities are, number 1, the patient first.
With LEO, what does that mean?
Law enforcement officer, not the security, not the person who's dressed as one. I would have been arrested.
yep. If I
It's
was
a false
not there-
impersonation. No. Had I dressed as an officer,
Oh,
I'd be arrested for impersonating an officer. Why haven't they been arrested? I want to know. I want that answer. They're not performing law enforcement services. They're only performing security. So why are they dressed as law enforcement officers? They should be arrested. I want to know that answer. I want it from the city attorney
that's a good one.
and the DA. Okay.
Sorry.
I want the
I'm
policy.
making a list, but I won't promise you got answers for them, but I'm making the list. and
You
we'll
asked me
come
what
up-
I wanted.
I got it, I'm making the list.
All
of
right.
it.
Just number 1, for their LEO, priority should be the patient. He's the very first one they protect when he walks on this ground. This is a hospital. This is medical services.
Right.
Number 2, the public safety. The people who are around. My God, it was obvious that those officers weren't here for public safety. I'm not part of the public? I'm not a patient? Number 3, the last people they should protect and care about, and in that particular order, the staff. Right now, it's exactly the opposite. If the staff sneezes, they just say, oh, here's your napkin, what do you want me to do? Because they're only security. Now, if your paycheck depends on you pleasing your paymasters,
Yeah. There's a conflict of interest for
oh,
sure.
beyond.
Yeah. Serious.
So, okay, let me continue to read. Have all the agents involved, Sheriff, San Francisco Police, Department of Emergency, the Mayor's Office of Disability, and the court system. They're all interconnected. Had this been fixed anywhere along the line? Had they all not been complicit players? Okay. I can show you the MOD video where I went with Sheriff Ross Mercarimi 2 years ago about all these issues for over an hour. Their person in charge, their programmatic access person, their ADA person. Guess what they all told me? What does everybody tell Grant?
I don't know.
He's wrong.
No.
He's got an adjustment disorder. He's the man that's maladjusted. When he's dead right always. Why do they do it? They've sold their soul for the money. Okay, let's continue. I'm sure that when you look at the videos, you'll see how many times I've been to DPH. and since, like you said, you're here for the hospital and DPH's part, why there's not been any follow-up?
And what is the consequence?
Yeah.
I mean, what the teeth really.
And I want you to acknowledge just how much more ill I've gotten since I've had no help, no follow-up, everything else over the last 3 months. How this is, a person who supposedly has an adjustment disorder only tells the truth. His own doctor doesn't believe him. Has to wait 3 months to get a video that he should have gotten the very next day, because in case 15012, there wasn't a problem. And he said, well, geez, I'll get a hold of Basil and we'll get this anyway. Shall I show you the 6 different phone calls I have recorded on video where I got played by a system? Shall I show you where the officer came out and said, oh, you have a meeting with Basil on 8-2 and room 460? And I said, no, that's the Sunshine Task Force. And I got played again. Shall I continue to show you?
Okay.
Because I have it. One of my last things, and it's very important, I think I've already said it, is, and you said you might not be able to, but a name of all the perps on both sides. The sheriff's side and the staff side.
Staff.
Help from patient advocacy in filing complaints and prior complaints, going back and reopening prior complaints, like, the complaints I made years ago that licensing and certification said was wrong because there was no paperwork. Well, isn't it the same pattern?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I can see the pattern. Why this is so frustrating.
And number 4, the next thing is, you self-reported to who? Licensing, what about JACO? And most importantly, the Office of Inspector General, because let's not forget, it was the Office of Inspector General that you signed a confession with. And if this is your 2nd violation or 3rd violation, you may just be shut down. One can only pray. And when people ask me, how can I be this concerned about other people's health? I can look them clearly in the eye and say, they're not concerned about other people's health. Had they been concerned about people's health, this would have never happened to me over so many years, telling the whole truth and nothing but the truth with everything I have.
Okay.
Well, thank you. And I've got the list of things that you're requesting, and I'm going to do.
And I must say thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Corsa.
No, you will, the longer you know me, the longer you will understand that I am a pussycat. But you mess with me like Pavlov's dog.
On a bone. Okay.
What I was going to say was, I also, what I sense in this, in addition to the frustration and the pain you've experienced for how things have gone, is that what's also coming through is a sense of, like, you want to get this right for other people as well, so other people don't have to experience what you went through. And I appreciate that that's part of your principles in this. How to get this right.
I don't. That's my adjustment disorder.
I can't
can only
speak to
do
what you're
things.
talking about.
I can only do things the
I'll
right
leave what
way.
I said stand.
And the right way can only be the right way. So if it's right for everybody, it's got to be right for me. Ergo.
Okay. So you want to do a recap of what you?
Yeah. Well, here's what I've got down, and so I've got this reporting to whom, when, and what. The NEMS letter from your doctor yesterday, and then the question of what was
a letter to my doctor.
A letter. Once we have the policy and the understanding that also then that.
Well, no. I want my doctor to get this letter as soon as possible, because if I've got to go back and face him, I.
Yeah, he's pretty adamant in the in the programming of certain policy,
just like you are,
whether or not it's correct or not.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I understand you want to finalize the policy before you write the letter, but
because otherwise it's just more confusion. Of
how about initially?
What is so difficult about writing a letter that the policy was bad?
Yeah, because I have to wait to hear that from the.
Oh, so you still don't believe it was a bad policy?
I'm waiting to hear from the group about what they're advising.
Well, your own personal belief at this point, Doctor.
Yeah, well, I'm not here to speak on my own behalf. I'm here also representing the organization, and we want to make sure we have a
Now
consistent
I feel
policy.
even more risk managed.
So
Thank you for that.
So what we'll do is once we clarify what the policy is, then that will go out.
Oh, I
across the
understand. I just don't
organization.
accept.
Fair enough. And,
Okay.
and we should also say,
That's
like,
why I asked the right
Okay.
questions.
I got it. And I also understand that you totally have the right to disagree and be unhappy with whatever we come up with, and I accept that.
As long as I can continue to follow up if I'm unhappy.
Of course.
When I was
You're
not
gonna get your
happy with
care.
this last treatment,
Right. You're going to get your care. Yeah.
Okay.
Out to the
Our
wind.
intention
Sorry.
here is to make sure you get the medical care.
Well, that
you
was what I
need
was
and
told
you
before.
deserve. And that's true regardless of whether you agree with how we write the policy.
That's
or
what
not.
I was told
I
before.
understand.
Okay.
But you're recording me, I'm saying it.
Okay.
So you got it.
I
All
got
right,
it.
let's
So
continue.
Yes, let's continue.
The letter also, there's a question around like what happened with sunshine requests and where are
And what
those
that
with it?
means.
Yeah, and I'll have to talk to the people that do that and find out what we can. I think early on, Diane, you asked for a copy of patients' rights.
Yeah.
And a copy of the EMTALA policy. And then now, also what I also heard was, there was mention of sheriffs had training, like what's the training that they had, what is that? You also asked about the sheriff's groups that here, what are they? If they're security, are they law enforcement, are they not? How is that defined? What's going
And
on
if
with
they're
that?
wearing the law enforcement while providing security,
Just
are they breaking the
summarizing.
law?
Yeah, just summarizing about like what their official role is. And then there was a question about the name of all the perpetrators that were involved in the case. And again, I don't know if we can give that to you or not, but I'll find out.
Okay, so we can do an IDR on that anyway, but,
We just wanted to ask the proper questions.
No, I
Proper
know.
time.
And
Just wanted
that's what I
to
heard, and that's
request
what
it.
I'm summarizing, and I'll give you what I can, and the stuff I can, I'll tell you.
okay, so is there an ETA on hearing back from the city attorney on the revision of the, DPH's policy to video record?
I don't know when that is. I was
And
on
of course, the new policy, which is going to be the exact opposite.
And the what?
The new policy, which is going to be the exact opposite. Yes, please come video record us. I'm serious.
No, I know.
And when I have a better sense of what that timeline is,
was the first time.
I'll let you know.
Okay. Yeah, why did he say that?
That's the first time. And that's the first time I came in, 411.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
What's that one?
That was an emergency referral. It wasn't yesterday's.
It was my first time I came in 411, and the one that she looked at on the video.
Oh, thanks.
That's from the first one. Okay.
From Alexandra, I see, okay.
And you see the date, 411, and the emergency code, correct? Okay, well, I'll show it to you.
It's right in the middle of the page right there.
Let me just read it real quick.
But this thing, can you read this one off? What does that say?
Oh, I see it, yeah, no, I see that, thanks.
Well, can you
I was
read it for
down
the
here
camera?
reading here, sorry.
No, that's all right. Your eyes go where, depending who you are, they go to certain places.
Well, but I just want it verified.
Yeah.
It says emergency medicine.
So the letter we provided yesterday was exactly the same. Well, not exactly the same, but
A different date.
yeah, right. And so
Can I
it
take a
was-
picture of this, is that all right?
We can
Well, that's-
provide you with one if you ask.
Well, they should have one on
Yeah,
file.
they should, that's the whole point. And what does it say? The referral is for what, doctor?
What I'm reading off of
Yes?
the form here, emergency medicine code R10.84.
Can you find out what that code stands for? R10.84? So when you do write him this letter, in regard to his letter in his emergency, you can quote, your thing of R10.84, we did not give him services that day. And, are telling you that he wasn't here.
So, yeah, basically, he's requesting a letter to attempt to get the trust back with his primary care, who believes the staff here, when he called, that Grant was never here.
I see.
And he didn't even believe him. We showed him the video that he was here that day, and he said, well, you can't video record. And I said, that's not true. And so essentially, under ADA, he is,
And it's not under.
well, for your own
But
for
whatever,
your
yeah.
medical treatment, absolutely.
Of course, for me specifically,
Right.
but in addition, it's also
It's another point
Yeah.
that he obviously needs some
for access and
training.
accommodation, because there was no access and accommodation.
There was no access.
As a person who
And-
has ADA rights, because I am disabled.
And just that he was here is also
Yeah, I hear
another.
that piece there, I would like to acknowledge that he was here on campus.
So that, if we could get sooner,
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
that.
Let me find out about that, see what we need to do to get that done, because I
Yeah, you could ask,
understand how,
you could ask the beloved city attorney.
I can see how disconcerting that is to not be believed that you were here that day. I hear that, I see that.
Okay,
Considering what's happened to me, when you say disconcerting,
that's some understatement.
Yeah.
So, they got back to you about the NEMS letter?
They have not found it, so why don't I can step out a second, just call.
or if they can't find it, they can't find it.
No, I just,
If you want it today, if possible.
I-
If
of
we
course.
can, we'll find it when we can, and if we can't, we'll tell you that.
yeah, if,
How about if I just call? When I step
Perfect.
in, I'll call? Perfect.
perfect, thank you.
Thank you.
What happened to my blue bag?
I have it.
Oh my God. I dropped the camera, all these other things.
When is this one?
Okay, let me turn this off and I'll.